Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about macro tracking and being less obsessive with it, and what I call is responsible macro tracking, or macro tracking responsibly. And I run a group program where I teach women this as well as my one-on-one clients. So if you have been in a place where you've tried macro tracking, or you're macro curious and you're like, hey, I'm not sure, I'm a little bit worried that I'm gonna become obsessive, I'm gonna provide you some of the tools that I use and the tips that I use with my clients about macro tracking. You should never use macro tracking just for weight loss. If you don't understand your maintenance, or you've struggled with maintaining your weight because you've always fluctuated in weight and then you end up gaining and then losing and all that stuff, this is going to be a good tool for you to figure out your maintenance. It's also a great tool for reverse dieting, which I did a video on a few weeks back, so you can go check that out as well. But the whole thing is to be less obsessive, less strict, let it go and let go of some of that perfection. Macro tracking is a great tool to provide you to make sure that you're eating a balanced meal, balanced foods, and that you're getting the right fuel for your body. I know that I'm someone who tends to undereat naturally because I get worried. I'm like, this seems like too much food or whatever that is. So macro tracking has been a great tool. I've used it for weight loss. I've used it for fat loss. I've used it for building muscle. I've used it for maintenance. And you don't do it all the time, right? So you learn how to do it, you learn portion sizes, and then you let it go, and then you move on, and you gradually decrease the amount of time you're tracking, or you just figure out a way, you go completely break free of it, and then you just maintain and you just live life and you don't obsess over it. So today I want to cover how to let go of the obsession piece of it, and how to track macros responsibly. I need a drink, but cold brew is amazing. So I do a flexible approach with macros, and I don't always have my clients track macros, protein, fats, and carbs. I do usually a flexible approach, or a flexible approach on the weekend. So the weekend may come and they have their calorie budget, but they are still only focusing on protein when it comes to the macros, and just having flexible carbs and fats. That's one way to have some flexibility with it. Another way is, do not bring your scale to the restaurant or out to eat, or if you're in a place where you don't feel comfortable with weighing your food, if it's in front of your family or something like that, that you don't feel comfortable with it, let it go. And the other thing you can do is have untracked days. So a great tips and tool to use is have untracked days where you're just not measuring anything. You're not tracking, or you are measuring and you're just not tracking in MyFitnessPal or any other app. This helps you build some confidence in yourselves, because what happens is people are scared to stop macro tracking or scared to stop tracking because they're worried they're going to gain weight. This gives you the ability to flex your portion sizes, and you can use your hand portion sizes. You can use basically building a skeleton meal plan or skeleton meals, so you know that you're going to have protein, fats, carbs, and veggies, and which is a carb, but just figuring out a best approach for you. Everyone, as with nutrition, everything's individualized, right? We try to fit in these cookie cutter approaches, and they don't work, right? So I talk about macros, and while I would never recommend it for someone that has an eating disorder or anything like that, for some people that may not be the best time for them, and they may use it loosely. They might use a balanced meal or a macro balanced meal plate to figure out their macros and use that approach. And you can use that approach when you're going out to eat. As I said, bring your scale to the to the restaurant is not cool. Let's not do that. And this is more of a lifestyle approach to it. I don't say, I'm not a fitness competitor. I don't need to be super strict with that. It's important to track everything that you're eating, but at the same time, you need to live your life, and quality of life always comes first. The other thing that I want to bring up was, what was it? Letting go of perfection. If you go with your macros, no big fucking deal, guys. You'll pick up at the next one and you'll figure it out next time. If you have too much protein, or you don't have enough protein, which is a common complaint and a common problem for most people, because we don't naturally eat enough protein than we should be eating. So if you have too much protein left, rather than go and eating egg whites at like 9 o'clock at night to fill your protein, just make better choices next time. Pick a higher protein food, maybe some Greek yogurt or something like that, add some fruit to it, and that's a way to hit your macros. Overall calories is what is most important, then hitting your protein, and the carbs and fats. You know, we want to make sure we're getting minimums of those, but you don't need to be so strict when it comes to this. That super, you know, perfectionist mentality doesn't help us, and it doesn't help us with our quality of life. And until you get to a place that you're letting go of that, even with macro tracking, you're not going to find balance. So that's the best approach that I have for working with my clients, to do it responsibly, not always tracking macros, but also making sure you're periodizing your nutrition. You should never be in a calorie deficit for longer than probably 4 months. So if you are in a calorie deficit for most of the year, or as long as you can remember, this is a good indication that you should be reverse dieting and you should be holding on to maintenance. You can't grow muscle. I'm gonna say that again, because you can grow muscle at certain times when you are in a deficit, but you do need to be at maintenance. Your body likes to be at maintenance. We're not meant to be in a deficit for long periods of time. So this is my approach with macro tracking. If you're interested in this and one-on-one coaching, you can reach out to me at Kimberly Rose Platt. As I said, we take a flexible approach with macro tracking, with letting go of restriction, letting go of super strict things, and letting go of that mindset. You know, if you have a day that you don't feel like tracking, then let it go and you don't track. It's just about being consistent. It's not about being perfect, and we need to let go of that piece of it. So if you like these types of videos, you have questions for me, check me out on Instagram, as I said, Kimberly Rose Platt, and drop something in the comments and let me know if you tried macro tracking, or if you tried more responsible approach with macro tracking and how you liked it. And I'll talk to you next time.